Welcome back to another episode of Spirit of an Athlete. I'm your host, Amanda Smith from Body Whisper Healing. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Monique Derouen is an integrative mind-body coach and somatic trauma specialist that empowers individuals to achieve self-healing through a natural, integrative approach. With these expertise, she recognizes and addresses the underlying sources of chronic pain and dis-ease. She guides her clients toward sustainable resolution. In this episode, we talk about the mind-body connection for athletes. It's usually very strong. And Monique was a ballerina. So she definitely had this connection in her body and had to overcome some of her own traumas through somatic therapy, which made her fall in love with what she does now, helping people dive into their nervous system and really understand their body, and then help them release some of these things that get stuck, these traumas, whether it's a physical trauma or a mental trauma that get stuck in our bodies. Please dive in with me and Monique in this episode. Monique, thank you so much for joining me on Spirit of an Athlete so that we can talk about what integrative mind-body coaching is and what somatic therapy is.
Yeah. Amanda, thanks for having me. And I really hope that your audience is going to get something out of this conversation. I'm excited to share it with you and them as well.
Oh, they'll totally get something out of it because not a lot of people know what somatic therapy is. And they might have heard the word somatic, but it's really kind of this newfangled thing that athletes really, really could benefit from because it's a doing. It's a way to work through their stuff. But I'm going to hand it over to you. You tell them, what in the world is somatic therapy?
Yeah, great question. So soma is the body. It's the tissue. It's this building that we live in, right? And oftentimes throughout our life, things happen. We have accidents, injuries, emotional situations throughout our entire life. And the body holds information. The body stores things, right? And so, talk therapy is great, but it's not for everybody. And with somatics, what we can do is movement. We can do sequences. We can do things that are different than what you would do in a talk therapy session with your body. And the information that's stored in the body will move naturally. And so you don't have to go in there and dig it up. You don't have to go through some big download of information. You actually just move the body in certain maneuvers and things open and space is made. So great for the emotional body, great for the physical body, great for the mental body, which we all know athletes need to have in high capacity to perform at the ability that they have to perform at, right?
Definitely. Okay. So one of the things that I think some people who are just starting to learn about what somatics is think, oh, the therapist is going to put their hands on me. Is that necessary all the time?
No, not at all. It can be both ways, right? So I have people that I put on my table. I physically move the tissue for them. I move the body for them. I tell them where to go directionally. And then I have people online that do it as well. So you don't have to be in a physical space. This is something you can do by yourself. This is something you can do with a guide. This is something you can do with a somatic therapist. There's so many ways to do somatics, which makes it really nice for wherever you are, whatever situation you're in. There's a way to plug in for you.
Because not every body is ready for a therapist, especially like the first or second meeting to go, let me put my hands all over you, right?
Right.
Some people need that barrier and need that moment to just go, okay, I need to understand who you are and what you're about before you even come close to touching me. Is that right?
Agreed. Yes. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Some people have boundaries. They don't like to be touched. They don't like to be moved around. And some people love connection. They love to be touched, right? So again, it's very individualized with what do you need specifically in your body? If you need something like what would feel like a massage or a stretch session or a PT session while you're moving that, great, that's available, right? But if you're somebody that's like, don't want to be touched, don't want to get all into it, just tell me what to do so I feel better and I can go to peak performance, we have that too.
So I had a coach who has a strength and conditioning degree, so a CSCS, right? And then he also has 14 certifications, and 12 of them are neurologically based. And I've worked with him. So I'm bringing this up because he's been on the podcast, episode 5, I believe, Barrett Smith. But we worked through my body stuff by doing movement therapy. We didn't talk about anything. Every once in a while, some stuff would come up. But for you, in your experience, working with athletes or working really with anybody, do you notice that they need to do that talk piece as well as the movement? Or do they really just need that movement piece?
Yeah. Some of them do, right? Some of them, here's what I've learned. I'll give you a secret, Amanda. A lot of people have been told how to be, how to train, how to behave, how to exist, and they've never had a voice. They've never had a space to express or feel safe. And so I've worked with some athletes, like especially skiers and things like that, that they didn't have a voice, right? And so giving them that safe space now allows them to express. They feel heard, they feel validated, they're moving their body, they're doing things differently, they're bouncing back in, back on the snow, and life goes on. And I have other clients that come in, they're like, just move my body, don't want to talk about it, right? I work with some personal trainers, they like to talk. And so it's really subjective to the individual, which is the beauty of this. Because again, it's not a cookie cutter. This is the way it's done. These are the rules, follow them. It's like, what does your body want to do? If your body wants to wiggle and squirm while we're doing this, go for it, right? I had one client that never talked, but her hand would just start moving around really gracefully, really interesting. Her toes would point really pretty like a dancer, right? And then she would get these like shakes and movement, and then she would just release and she'd be like, okay, I'm better. I have no idea what was going on in her personal life. No idea. We didn't talk about it.
Exactly. There's no need to dive there if that's not what they need.
Yeah.
I love that about this kind of work too. This is my favorite way to work with my clients and really unravel their nervous system. It's really just a matter of what do they need? What do they want? What do they want first is always where I start. And then what do they need?
Yeah.
And that shows up as we work.
And, what's your intention? Are you wanting to feel better? Are you wanting to do something? Are you wanting to train differently? Are you wanting to implement new ways in your relationships or connections with people? Right? Like, depending where you are, what's your intention? What do you want? I love that question.
As an athlete, that's all part of it, right? We have to communicate with coaches if we have those. If we're an individual athlete and we don't have coaches, then we're in our own internal world, right? If we're a team player, then we're constantly communicating. So there's that communication piece that has to come in, that relationship piece that has to come in. But then, of course, as athletes, we've got that skill movement thing we've got to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point of being an athlete. But, well, I love somatic therapy. It's by far my favorite. So I'm thrilled that you're here to help us better understand that. I want to understand a little bit more about you. Why did you become a mind-body expert, a somatic expert, so that you can help people?
Yeah, this is a great question. I went through a very long and extensive chronic pain journey where I had accidents, I had injuries, I was on medication, I had treatments and surgeries and injections, and we had tried so much and it just wasn't working. I would get moments where I felt better, but I would never fully recover, is what I was understanding, what I was feeling in my body. And there was a point where I was getting really hopeless, and I'd had lots of injuries, knee injuries, ankle injuries. I was a dancer from the time I was 2 years old. So jumping and leaping, I popped ligaments, I tore, all the things. And I remember moving my body and feeling good. I remember in dancing, I felt good. And I didn't really understand why when I was younger, but I went through a really dark space for several years and was in a deep depression, is the best way I can describe it. But if I would dance, if I would move my body, I felt better. And so I always say movement kept me alive. I guarantee you, I bet my life on it that movement is what saved me, because if I didn't move my body somehow, some way, I think I would probably still be in my bed. And I think it would have gotten worse. And I watched this happen in my family with other people that I love generationally. And so there was just this fear. So when I went into mind body connection and began to explore this intricate connection between the brain and the body, and how your thoughts and your feelings affected your life, and how stress made you more susceptible to ailments and illnesses, I started to realize that I was under constant stress. I had been living in survival for a long time, and things just started to click, that my body was breaking down because of stress responses, because of survival mechanisms. And I'm grateful that I had those. But at the same time, I was almost in an overdrive. So I suffered with adrenal fatigue. I was hospitalized, just kind of one thing after another. So being able to see that my stress level was contributing to this, and beginning to understand how I could work on the mental and the emotional stress, not just the physical stress in my body, my physical body began to change. And the more I did it, the more I changed. And I knew that there was something I could use to help other people who were struggling with the same thing.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so dancing was the thing that you loved. It wasn't the thing that put you in pain. Is that right?
Not necessarily. So, I was put on stage at 2 years old. I had lots of siblings. We had a big family. I was an only child with my parents. So performing, I got lots of attention. Everybody came. They brought me flowers. They were excited to see me there. So it's kind of like my spotlight, right? And so I really enjoyed it. And through high school, I was on the dance line. I enjoyed everything, but I had a knee injury around 12 or 13 years old, where I tore some ligaments, shattered the growth plate, couldn't dance for a while, was on crutches.
Mm.
Later on in life, and like I said, I went through this dark space where I was really struggling with personal life. I had a really rough marriage, had kids really young, just didn't really feel good. Just didn't feel good. And what I realized was I was holding on to trauma. And so I would go dance, I would feel better, but I would go back into my daily life where all of these things existed, right? And so as long as I was alone and separated and moving, it was great. So I did have some injuries. My last injury with dancing was early, like 2010, 11, something like that. I was teaching a dance class, and I went across the floor and did a jump to show the girls how to do it. And I landed it wrong. And I heard 3 pops in my ankle when I landed. And that was kind of the end of me teaching. So the next year I sat in a chair pretty much and just watched and helped, but didn't really move the way I could move in the past. So that injury was aggressive and it was painful, and it took a very long time to heal. My ankle still pops and makes all kind of noise, but there's no pain, and I can hike and I can climb and I can run and I can dance, and physically it's completely healed, which is great for me. Because for a long time I was very restricted. I was in a boot that for almost an entire year that year. It was pretty rough.
Man. I learned on the first podcast with a physical therapist. She was telling me 95% of knees pop, make noise. But as long as you don't have pain, it doesn't matter. And that's what we're looking for too with our athletes when they come in and they're like, oh, this thing makes a noise. Is it painful? If it's not, then let's dive down the rabbit hole. What else is going on to see where things have gotten stirred up there?
Yeah.
Do you do that in your work?
Yes, absolutely. So, one of the things that we know is the body has normal wear and tear. Like things happen to our body just normally. It doesn't have to cause damage, but when you hear a pop, it is scary, especially if you're in motion or you're doing something that you love and there's a fear that you might not be able to go to that capacity or go to that space again, right? So the first thing I thought when I hit the ground was, I'm never dancing again. Like that was
Yeah.
like the first thing. It was like, I don't know what I just did to my ankle. I can't turn, I can't jump, right? And so there was a fear that was imprinted in my nervous system in that moment. And, we go through the things. You get the ice, you sit down, you breathe, you do the things you know how to do. But when I went to the doctor and they started doing x-rays and then they started running tests and then they started looking, do we need to do surgeries? And every word, every moment was more medical trauma. It was scary, and I protected it and I over protected it, right? So I had bandages and support and boots and then it healed too tight. And then I didn't have any motion in my ankle, I had no flexibility, right? And so you have to think about what the brain does. It's trying to keep you safe. And all of these things are very scary. And when we feel fear, our body reacts in a certain way.
Mhm.
And that's just the
Everybody too.
reality. Yeah.
Everybody they respond differently to that as well. Do you see a common thread with your clients when it comes to what they are really needing, the deeper work that they're needing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's always a root cause of why we have pain, why we have stress, why we have even injuries in my world. There's a root reason as to why we go through these things. And if we can get to the root of those things, then the client can likely heal with ease and go on with their life and move on, right? But a lot of times getting to that root is not always fun, right? And so sometimes people think we're going to go dig up this past trauma, or we're going to go through this really intense stuff. Sometimes it is, but it's really usually not. It's really a simple, your brain's thinking one thing, you've been taught something else, and we need to just end the dissonance. So we do that by doing something different than what we've ever done before. We have to break the pattern that created this issue. But we're so used to being comfortable in the known. The pattern is the known. We know what to expect. We know what to feel. Our body knows what to do. Our nervous system, it's very familiar. So it's safe, even though it's really not safe, right? So there's this gas and brake kind of being held at the same time. And imagine the tires are just spinning out, spinning out, spinning out. And then it's like,
Mhm.
forget it. Exhaustion, too much, don't want to go there, but it keeps showing up. And so if you've had injuries that come and go, or you have a pain that moves through the body, right? So maybe one day it's a migraine, maybe one day it's a backache, maybe another day it's a shoulder or a hip. If you have something from repetitive strain, repetitive movements, right? It's likely there's something else going on that you just haven't thought about or been exposed to yet. And so maybe just explore an alternative route, an alternative medicine, right? I'm the bridge between the alternative world and the medical field. I'm a craniosacral therapist and a massage therapist. So I love anatomy and kinesiology and, movement and all those things. And I love the brain and the nervous system and being able to
Mhm.
integrate all those things together. You can kind of see the whole picture.
Mhm.
that often gets blurred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're kindred spirits in the way of helping people. I love that you brought up that you have to move a different way. So I give my clients some weird things to do, and they look at me and they're like, "You want me to do what?" And I'm like, "It's not what you're patterned to do. It's going to be different. It's going to be a different kind of challenge and push you out of that comfort zone that you've created within your sport." So I love that you highlighted that. What are some of the weirder, quote unquote, weirder things that you've had clients do to help themselves?
Oh, yeah. One of the things I love to tell my clients is lay on the floor or your bed and just act like a cat. You
Yeah.
know, you ever watched a cat just like move and they like purr and they have this weird sway about them?
Mhm.
So imagine from a very young age, we've been put into car seats, high chairs, school desks. As athletes or people being trained, we've been taught by someone else how to stand, how to walk, how to move, how to breathe, right? And so
Mhm.
there's a part of your body that's like, yeah, that's great, but what about me? Right? So sit down, be quiet, cross your legs, sit still, don't move, don't go to the bathroom yet. You can't move until we go to recess, right? So imagine all your little bodies just amped up with energy and it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, right? So it has to go to create a headache or create a backache or anyways, we won't get all into that real deep, but
Or
you
a
have this
fidget.
yeah, you have all this energy and this
Mhm.
stuff inside of you that needs to move. And so maybe it's just shaking your wrist out. You know, maybe it's just making some silly noises. I always say, act like you're four or act like you're a cat. So go stand in the
Oh my
yard and
God.
spin around in circles and sway in your little dresses if you're girls and you have a dress, right? If you're a boy, just get on the ground and roll around and move around, play for a moment. Don't be so serious. Nobody has
Oh
to be
man.
there with you. Nobody has to see you do it if it's weird. But my clients get the best results when they just let their body move
Mm.
without restrictions. And I think that's a big deal to feel free, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I totally agree. I feel like when it comes to the older athletes, so 16 and above, right? We have to act a different way as an athlete. We have to be more professional about it. And all of a sudden, play has gone. The game used to be playful for you. It used to be a game. And now it's become this like, I have to do really well because I'm trying to get a college scholarship or I'm in college and I want to play pro. And play goes out the door.
Yeah.
And I know, especially for adults, if we forget how to play, our body we might as well let rigor mortis set in at that point because we have to still get our bodies to do different movements or we get all crunched up and things do start to pop and creak and do weird things. Do you do you find that playfulness gets lost at a certain age,
Yeah. Yeah. We have to be so serious. Just like you
right?
said, if you're on the field and you're waiting for a college recruiter or this is your dream to go into a career, right? There's
Mhm.
no you're told stop messing around, stop playing around, get serious, grow up, pay attention. Yes, for sure. But if you're not having fun doing what you love to do, what's the point? Like, why do it if it's not fun? I
Yeah.
decided a long time ago, I'm not doing anything that's not fun. So we went on this car trip that was like 20 hours, 22 hours or something. We decided to drive, right? And so I'm with one of my little assistants here in town, and I said, "We're just gonna stop and have fun." And so we stopped at the rest areas and did cartwheels and rolled around in the grass. And they had like monkey bars at one place. So I just kind of like hung and let my shoulders open up, right? Because I'm driving. I don't want to stiffen up. I don't want to be so serious. And I said, if
Mhm.
people saw us, they probably think we're crazy. Two adults out here hanging from the monkey bars. I tell you what, I got to Michigan. It was a long drive from Colorado. Had no pain.
Yeah.
Didn't have to take an Advil. Never had to pull a heat pad out. Never brought a tool out of my bag. It was the first time I traveled with ease.
Mm.
And so I said, now this is my new thing. Anytime I drive, especially long trips, I'm going to stop and play. Just going to stop and get out. I'm just going to wiggle my body. I'm going to move, right? And it's worked. That's been a couple of years now. So every time I go on a trip, I just pause for a moment and wiggle around and then get back in my car and keep going.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed so I frequently drive from Colorado to Illinois, which is about 15 hours usually. And I couldn't even imagine driving to Michigan because my body locks up. And it's like right around those last 2 hours, I start to feel my liver and my kidney. And it's like, why? Why in the world does my body need to do that? Because we get out very frequently. We go and we take our dog for a walk because we usually have him with us. And yeah, there's certain parts of my body that are just like, okay, you've got to move differently. And it's the same thing on planes for me. It's like a over 4-hour flight. We just went to Hawaii, over a 4-hour flight. And all of a sudden my body's just like, okay, let's get to the back of the plane and wiggle.
Yeah.
And of course, the flight attendants are looking at me like, you're a crazy person. I'm like, you know what? This is what my body needs. And I bet your body needs it too.
So I love that you have the awareness to do that. But what you just reminded me of is muscle memory, right? So very similar. I'm used to getting in a car and I'm used to being stiff. I'm used to being locked up. So being able to plug in those few minutes every once in a while, game changer, So you're breaking that pattern. You're breaking that habit. You're saying, I'm not willing to be uncomfortable. I'm going to go break this habit. I'm going to go break this pattern. I'm going to do something unknown, unfamiliar, a little bit strange. People might look at me, so what? But then your body's going to respond because you're taking a different action. So you have to get a different result. Like that's just the way it works. So that's awesome. I love that for you.
Yeah, same for you. I love that you're doing cartwheels. When it comes to rest stops, I'm always like, okay, where's the dog poop? Because it's everywhere. All right, Monique, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm in social media. I'm on all platforms. You can just look up Monique the Mind Body Coach. It'll bring you right to one of my pages, no matter what platform you're on.
I love your posts recently about your mission and what you are trying to do to help people to relieve stress, trauma, fear, all of those things. So thank you so unbelievably much for the work that you do. And the fact that you're in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, I am so excited to meet you in person and come out to see you and all the things that you do. So thank you. And thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I do look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. All of her notes on where you can find her are in the show notes. And you have a membership. Is that right?
I do have a membership, yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about it before we drop off?
Sure. I have a membership. It is a private group. It's called Breaking the Barriers. And our mission is to break the barriers that are keeping you stuck in your life. So if it's physical pain, if it's mental or emotional, pain shows up in all areas. It's not just in your body. And so if you have been suffering with pain and tried a bunch of things and you're not getting the results that you want, I invite you to come join us and try this out and see if it's a good fit, or at least have a conversation with me about it. And if it's not, I might be able to recommend or refer something else or someone else that could be a better fit. So take care of yourself. If you're not feeling well on any level, reach out. Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you've been experiencing something for a long period of time, and that could be a month. That could be your long period of time. It could be a year. It could be multiple years. Reach out, find that help, and we're here for you. Monique, thank you again.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks for listening to Spirit of an Athlete podcast. If you're struggling with your own gut issues and want more direction, You can get an initial body scan from Amanda at bodywhisperhealing.com. In 20 minutes, you can find out what's wrong, get clarity, map the path forward, and get on track to get back in your game. If this episode hits the spot, please let us know by rating, reviewing, and sharing it with a friend. Subscribe now to hear more inspiring stories from other female college athletes who overcame their health issues. Want more, Amanda? Get inspired by finding more at bodywhisperhealing.com.